Hey guys, welcome back to Sip and Dip with Chelsea. For today's video, I will be teaching you how I did this ombre color block design with just dip powder liquids. I'll be showing you the tap ombre and the scrub ombre, so no matter what, you feel confident in trying out this design. So without further ado, let's go dive in. I'll be using Celebrate and Elevate, bringing me back to MySpace days, from Revel Nail's anniversary launch. So I have peel base on my nails for easy pop-off removal. That way I don't have to soak in acetone. What can happen when you do color blocking, if you apply tape straight onto peel base and then you pull the tape up, it will also peel up the peel base. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to be using Revel Nails liquids today, and I'll be applying their Pro Base, so their base liquid, on top of all of the peel base to protect it from the tape. So here's the tape that I'll be using today. This is just an off-brand from Target. You could use tape from the Dollar Tree, Walmart, wherever. You could use electrical tape, whatever tape you have on hand that will work, give it a try. So I've applied a layer of the Pro Base. You can see it has discolored the peel base a little bit, but it does not affect the peel base at all. So don't be alarmed. There's going to be patches and spots. It's totally okay, but this is going to protect the peel base when I pull the tape up. So I'm just going to pull off a piece of tape. You could absolutely cut this piece of tape and do just one strip down the middle. I don't trust myself with that and cutting a straight line, so I'm going to do it in sections. So I'm going to lay this piece where I want it and make sure I press it all the way down really well on my nail. I'll be using Beloved from the Regency set and Elevate from the Anniversary set. I've got my two fluffy eyeshadow brushes here from Wet n Wild. I like to have everything set up and ready because you do need to move fast with the tap ombre. I'm just showing y'all I'm removing the excess liquid off of my Pro Base brush and then guiding it back towards my cuticle area. I like to drag the excess liquid down, making sure I don't get this on my skin, and I am overlapping on top of the tape. So I'm dipping my brush in the powder, starting up at my cuticle area and tapping it onto the nail where I want it. Slowly and surely, just making sure I'm getting it fully covered over there all the way to my skin, but leaving my free edge exposed so I can do the blue. Then I start tapping the blue on that open area. You do need to move quickly, making sure you get the product on the liquid before it dries, tapping the excess powder off, and once it's dry, then I'm going to scrub it off with a stiff scrub brush. Now with my Pro Base, I'm going to go right on top of it and do another layer, making sure I don't get this on my skin, fully covering that section and overlapping on the tape. This time, I'm going to start with the blue. So when I'm doing a tap ombre, I like to alternate the colors. I feel like this gives it a more natural blend. So I'm just focusing it right there on that free edge area, tapping off the excess, and doing the same thing again with this cream shade. So I'm making sure I get the whole thing covered, tapping off the excess, and then I'm going to let it dry. Once it's dry, I use a stiff scrub brush to dust it off. So if you're at this point and you feel like it's not really seamless, all you have to do is dip into that powder you think you need more of and just scrub that pigment onto the nail where you think you need it to help blur and blend that line. Totally optional, but if you're at that point, you can absolutely do that. So now I'm going to pull the tape off slowly and gently, just paying attention to it. It's okay if it looks a little wonky. We're gonna fix it, I promise. Now I'm just going to press the product down, and with my cuticle pusher on this sharp edge, I'm going to just gently reform a few of the places that aren't quite in a line. I'm not pressing very hard, I'm just very gently guiding that product back, and now with this little tiny buffing block, I am ever so slightly and very gently smoothing out that line. So with another piece of tape, I'm gonna start on this other section. You don't have to do this, like I mentioned, you could totally do just one tape down the center, but I chose to do two because I don't trust that I would cut it into a straight line. I'm going to follow the same steps for this side, starting with the cream shade first and then tapping it off, dipping into the blue, and following the same steps. It's very straightforward, just a simple tap ombre. Once it's dry, I scrub it off and start for that second layer. So for the second layer, I follow the same steps and start with blue first and then Beloved. Once it's dry, I dust it off and very slowly pull the tape back. Next, I straighten my line with my cuticle pusher and gently buff the line with my buffing block. Very, very gently, just to smooth it out. Now it's time for the glitter. So I want to show you guys, don't be alarmed. This is just from the buffing block, buffing into a little bit of that pro base. It just makes it cloudy, but you will see as I guide this liquid back to my cuticle area, dragging the excess down, I'm hugging the brush right up to the line. I'm not overlapping on the color, just touching right up to the line to make sure that the glitter meets all the way to the line, moving very slowly and pulling the excess liquid down. Then I'm going to lay my nail flat into the glitter so I get a high glitter color payoff. Now I'm just going to press everything down and make sure all the glitter is laying flat. Once it's dry, I dust it off. So I'm really happy with the coverage, and you can see I still have a nice even surface with one layer of glitter. So I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to do 2 layers of glitter. If you feel like you need another layer of glitter, you can absolutely do that. I want to show y'all now how to do the scrub ombre method. So if you're nervous about doing the tap ombre because you do have to rush a little bit, I don't want you to be afraid of this design. So I'm going to show y'all another technique. So I apply my tape to the swatch stick, making sure it's nice and pressed and adhered to the swatch. And I apply my pro base all the way to that side, pouring the powder over top. And I've got my stiff eyeshadow brush here. So this is different than the fluffy one. I find these to be easier when you're doing the scrub ombre. What's important is that your solid shade is dry. So I'm gonna touch on top of it and make sure that that section is dry before going in to scrub. Dipping my brush into the powder, now I'm going to focus it on the free edge first, scrubbing the pigment onto that swatch stick. Then I slowly work my way up a little bit. That's how you get the ombre blend. Focus it at that free edge and then go up just a bit. I cut a lot of this out so it didn't carry on too long, but here is the finished look for the first layer. Going in for my second layer now with my pro base, pouring the powder over top, tap it off. Once it's dry, then you start scrubbing again. Again, I cut a lot of this out so I didn't bore y'all to death. It takes some time to really scrub and get that pigment on there. So here they are side by side. As you can see, the scrub ombre is a little bit lighter where the tap ombre is brighter. It gives a higher color payoff. So the deal with the scrub ombre is that lighter shade that I used as my base. If you use clear, if you use white, you really want those shades to be lighter so it's easier to scrub into. Your second shade, so the blue, the brighter, more pigmented that is, the easier and the brighter the color payoff will be. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your colors to do a scrub ombre. I just choose to do tap because I feel like it gives a more true pigment of the color and it's brighter. So now for my solid color nails, I want it to be true to this color here. So to do that, I need to pour the powder over top because I did not dip it in, I tapped it on. So tapping on is closely related to pouring over. So I want my colors to all stay true and match. So now I'm just doing a full layer on my thumb and then I'm going to pour the powder over top. Tapping it off, here is the first beautiful full coverage layer. I love Be Loved because it changes colors and glows. Along with that anniversary set, it also glows. They really knocked it out of the park in my opinion. Revel came out swinging with all of these fun, beautiful colors. So I'm going to follow those same steps for the blue. I like to move on and go on to my next shade while that tan one does dry. It just is a multitask thing that I do. So if you see me flip-flopping around between colors, it's just so that it dries. Now while the blue dries, I'm going to dust off the tan shade and do my second layer. So the second layer is the same thing, just another full coat coverage and pouring the powder over top. I'd love to hear if y'all grabbed anything from Revel's anniversary sale. They had so many launches, so many fun new products, especially that gel liner self-cleaning brush. I've dabbled and I've played with it a little bit and I cannot wait to try something out on camera for you guys. So here I'm just dusting off the blue now that it's dry, going in for that second layer and pouring over. I feel like a broken record and I must be just boring y'all to death repeating all of these things, but I am just so excited to try this design out. I've been seeing it online. I've been seeing some other creators trying it. So I definitely had to try my hand at this scrub, tap, ombre, color block design. So I'm going to dust off all of that excess powder, and then we're going to start on encapsulating. So I've got my clear powder from Revel Nail, and I'm going to do another full layer. Yes, broken record again. We're going to do another full layer on top of all of the nails to protect them when we go to file and shape. This time I'm just going to dip in because I'm not worried about the colors matching with the clear, and it's just faster and easier. So I'm going to dip right into the clear dip powder. Once it's dry, I dust it all off, and then we're gonna activate. Now with my activator, I'm gonna apply a very generous layer of this to all of the nails. Let that dry for 2 minutes, file, shape, and buff off camera, and I'll see y'all in just a sec. So here is the finished look. I'm kind of digging them matte. I'm gonna do them glossy, but I'm definitely digging this matte vibe with this ombre and these colors together. I may have to come back for these colors in matte. So I'm gonna apply a second layer of my activator, let that dry again for 2 minutes before top coat. So I've got my top coat here. I'm going to do 3 quick strokes on the nail. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's just how I like to do my first layer. I find this to be tried and true without contaminating my liquids. 3 quick strokes is all you need for that first coat. Now for my second coat, it's a lot more detailed, more precise, moving slower, making sure I'm getting all the way over to my sidewalls, my free edge, and capping it off. I do that for all of the nails, wiping the brush off on a napkin in between every single time before putting it back in the bottle. All right, y'all, they are dry. I've added some cuticle oil back to my skin, and I am smitten with this look, this color combo. I'm so excited that I finally gave it a try. I hope that you guys will give it a try too. I promise you can totally do it. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I will see y'all next week in the next video.